Okay, so I'm going to educate you a little bit and tell you about Spanish Golden Age theater, which not all people know about, because you guys probably know about Shakespeare, but that's about it. So, like a lot of theater, Spanish theater started out religious and turned more secular, which happened a lot in history. So they started out in churches and they'd tell a lot of Bible stories, and that's how the church would kind of get their messages across. And there was this festival called Corpus Christi. It was a couple months after Easter, and people would write plays for this, and they'd perform them. And the plays started out as just being religious, but then they slowly got to be more and more about just supernatural or allegories. And it didn't really matter as long as they kind of had like moral undertones that the church would approve of. And then these were called autos sacramentales. They were just one-act plays. And then as time went on, it got to be where they only did 2 plays for the festival, and they would have to be approved by the city council. So they would have the troops come in and they'd perform it for the king or the city council, and they'd have to be like, okay, your play's good, you can perform. If not, they weren't allowed to. But the good thing was that if they got chosen, then they got paid a lot of money, which is always nice. And a lot of the plays back then were different because instead of like having a stage, like a permanent structure that they could perform in, like auditoriums that we have now, or theaters, they would have wagons, and they would like put a couple of them together, and then it was really big actually, and so they would use those, and then they could travel, and then once they were done performing at Corpus Christi, these plays, then they would go tour around and they'd perform them for everybody else. And then, like other theater, these plays kind of stopped being as religious, and they really weren't performed as much. And that's when, comedies and things like that started coming out. So, there you go. Hope you learned something.